Hey everybody, Max Bultman and Corey Pronman from the Athletic Hockey Show's Prospect Series here. And Corey, we think Adam Fantilli is probably going to go number 2 overall in the NHL Draft. But what do you got number 1 last year?
I think so. I mean, this is a guy who is a 6'2" center. He skates well. He's highly physical. He won the Hobey Baker as a draft eligible, which is incredible when you really kind of think of how first year draft eligibles typically perform in college. Typically, they're just trying to keep their head above water, just trying to make sure they stay in the lineup regularly every day. And this is a guy who was the best player in college hockey, put up incredible numbers, analogous to Jack Eichel as a prospect at the same age. You could argue he might even be superior to Jack Eichel as a prospect at the same age, or at least it's an argument. Like he has all the tools. This looks like a guy who projects as a star number 1 center in the NHL. And this is a guy who I think would have been first overall in a number of recent drafts. I think you would have to go back to the 2019 draft with Jack Hughes before it would become a really tough debate.
What kind of production do you think he can have at the next level? For a player who's so complete, can score, is physical, what should the team that gets him be expecting?
And he's pretty physically advanced already, too. I think that's going to help him make the jump right away as he looks like a man. He's very strong and, like you said, very physical as well. I think he can help an NHL team from day one. I think long term, I don't think he's going to have Bedard's offensive numbers, but I do think that he can be, a potential point per game player in the NHL, a legitimate star, two-way center who will have a big impact on an NHL organization if he hits.
Okay, so with all that said, what's keeping him from having a chance at being the number 1 pick? Is it just how good Connor Bedard has been?
Yes, and a big part of that is that when they've been on the same team twice in the last year at the U18 World Championships in 2022 and the most recent World Juniors, Bedard has outplayed Fantilli by a significant margin, especially at the World Juniors, where Bedard was the MVP of the tournament, and Fantilli was relegated to a third, fourth line role on Team Canada. But there are a couple of people in the league who at least entertain the idea that Fantilli is at least at the same level, maybe even above, just because of those physical tools. He is a 6'2" center who can skate and has, that kind of physicality in him and has a ton of offense. You can kind of envision a path where he could potentially become a better player than Bedard in 5 years. So, and earlier in the year, at least before the World Juniors, I started hearing those discussions a little bit more frequently. But the World Juniors, I think, quieted that down a little bit. I think there's a gap, but I don't think it's a gigantic gap. I think Fantilli is an exceptional prospect. And if you told me in 5 years from now he became the best player in this draft, I would not be surprised.